Good morning, YouTubers. T Square with T Square Talk. Hope everybody had a great Halloween yesterday. I got a great video planned out for you guys, I think, today. Today, we're actually just going to do Q&A. We're going to answer questions. I've been mentioning that on Fridays, we're going to read through your comments and answer all the questions throughout a video. And I decided to do the video on Saturday mornings because these videos can get a little lengthy, but what's really good about them is you're hearing actual questions from actual stackers like yourself. And there may be a few people out there that are naysayers on silver, like hurry up and get out or wait for the $20 dip or some crazy thing, and that's okay. To each their own. And when you start seeing a lot of these comments, you start listening to them, you start seeing how the stacking community consensus is that the prices of gold, the prices of silver are going to go a whole lot higher. And if you're invested in it, you're probably going to do very well with it. And so with that being said, let's get started. Before we do get started, let me please ask that you take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And as always, leave me a comment. You can let me know your thoughts on what's going on. Before we also get started, let's take a quick minute and look at the silver prices and how they closed out for the week. We had silver close out at $48.60 over the week. Still seeing some backwardation now starting to form up again, which it kind of makes me believe there's still a heavy silver squeeze in process. For those of you that don't know what silver squeezes are, that basically means there's a lot more shorts out there than there even is ounces. And we have proven that in the past, and I think we're going to continue to see that short position get lower. Eventually get lower, only because eventually a lot of big banks are going to get squeezed out, because as that price starts to go higher, then we will see a lot of banks not be able to stomach the losses that they've been taking when it comes to squeezing the silver price. Now, why they do that, there's a lot of different theories, reasons. Some people say they do it for the military-industrial complex. Some people say that they do it for pure profit. They push the price down with paper, and then they buy up the physical, and they try to keep this game going for a while. But we'll see how long they can keep it going, as silver prices, in my opinion, are already starting to climb back up. As you can see, let's see here. That's actually a bad one to look at right here, an easy-to-see chart. Year to date, you can see we did have a nice pullback, but it's already starting to work its way back up again. So we'll see how this plays out. Taking a quick look at the gold price. Gold price trading at $4,001, slightly over that $4,000 mark, which is good. It is showing that there is a firm floor around the 4,000. It doesn't mean that it can't break through that. It just means that if it does, it's probably going to be pretty temporary. Now, this is not financial advice, nor should it be considered as such. However, it is something to think about when you're making your decisions on what you want to invest your money in. Taking a quick look at the futures price on gold, we have it trading at $4,014. We've got Bitcoin right now trading at $110,000, 167. I should have said $110,167. Debt continuing to rise, now over 38 trillion. 57 billion, continuing to rise there. And the DXY ramping up even higher at 99.72. I will not be surprised to see it back over 100 at the rate things are going right now. However, I don't think it will last. I think eventually we will see a huge, devastating blow to the US dollar. Something will happen, and that will be it. The only reason the DXY looks like it's doing so well is because other currencies are falling. And with that being said, let's jump in and let's start reading the comments and see what we're looking at. Okay, John, good morning, T. Silver will continue to rise, and I believe will become unattainable in the future. Yeah, we're already seeing the silver price start climbing up again, and we're also seeing a lot of the mining deposits, I won't say run dry because that makes it sound like it's a whole lot worse than it is, but it is getting harder for them to mine. And as it continues to get harder and harder for them to mine, it naturally the price will go up because the demand for silver is still climbing. And so if the supply is starting to dwindle, it's natural that we will see a rising price. Let's see. White. Hey, T, I like the new thumbnails. It looks more professional, less busy, and I like to see the picture. People are visual. I appreciate you taking the time to make these videos. I really enjoy them, and have a great weekend. Thank you so much. So for those of you that don't know what he meant by thumbnails, I've had a lot of people say that these thumbnails, my old thumbnails, they're just too busy. Too much stuff, too much emojis, too much stuff going on, and it's hard to kind of keep track of. And with this, the new ones, you can kind of get a really good, I've only been doing it 2 days, you can get a good visual. I am going to start filtering in some of the old ones with some of the new ones, and that way I can really see, because as you can see, views have kind of dropped with a 586 here, a 670 here. You go back the week prior, it was 984. I mean, you know, some 1700. So it jumps around a lot with the thumbnails, possibly. A lot of people say they'd rather be more specific. So we'll see how it plays out. I enjoy both. I really enjoy the emojis personally, but it does look busy. And people that like to see the picture, makes it a little harder. Great show today, T. Keep it up. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Walks with one. Next one, Jack. Great video. Thanks, T. Have a great weekend. Old one, good morning, T and all. Silver and gold with both continue climbing. Have a fantastic weekend. Yeah, we're seeing it gradually working its way back up. Are we back up at the top? No, we still have a ways to go, but I think we're moving in the right direction, and so it makes sense that we're going to see that direction continue to happen. Taking a quick look, Mr. Happy Stacker, good morning. Great looking thumbnail. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Donnell, good afternoon. I truly believe that silver will get to the point where we can't even conceive it. Silver will go up in price to where we will all be saying, no way. It's actually there at that price that will be. Yeah, I think we're going to continue to see it. You know, it's funny because when I started making these videos talking about silver, so I was talking about prepping, I was talking about coin collecting a little, and then when I got into stacking, we were at $16 roughly for silver. It's pretty insane how much it has gone up. I remember one day I wanted a guy to detail my car, and I told him, or my truck I should say, and I told him, hey, I'll give you 7 ounces of silver. He was new to silver. He was kind of looking into it, but he was scared to pull the trigger. I said, you know what? Do my truck, and I'll give you 7 ounces. He goes, I usually charge like $200 to do a vehicle. And I said, I'm not willing to give $200. I'll give you 7 ounces of silver. And he goes, what is an ounce of silver right now? I told him like $16, $16. And he had said no. Think about what that is today. 7 ounces of silver. That wasn't even that long ago. 700, what? I'm sorry, 300, a little over 300, 350 maybe. That, I mean, if you're lucky enough to get 7 ounces of silver, you're going to spend close to $350. So it's pretty interesting to see how much it has gone up. Now, if you guys hear a clicking in the background, please let me know. I have been having an issue with the computer. I got to probably open it up and have them clean it all out and stuff because I don't know what it is. It's almost like the fan. The little fan in there is starting to click sometimes. But I am going to be shutting down the computer as I will be moving pretty soon. Some of y'all know that. And moving my studio to a whole nother location. So I'm kind of excited about that. And when I do that, I think I'm going to have them replace that little fan in there. I don't know if the fan is just catching or what it is. Taking a quick look. Great video. Hold silver. Definitely want to hold silver right now. Good morning, T. Great video yesterday. Love your channel. Silver, 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 silver. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. We are still trying to grow the channel, so hopefully a lot of people are hitting that subscribe button if they're new to the channel. I like the new thumbnails. Let's see. Morning, T. Cover the pennies. Are you saying zinc ones? I've started in the past month or two. I've been a fan separating the zinc from the copper with the wifey, but not just worrying about cashing in the zinc. I feel like they'll be worth more than 1 cent in this market, in just metal. Soon enough, with inflation, keep me from running out to buy silver every day. So there's a couple things here to think about. I'm going to take a look at another screen real quick for y'all. And this right here is, if I back it out one, back it out two. Okay, so this is Coinflation. This is a great website. I love this website. This really lets you track your silver coin prices and your base metal prices. And a lot of people almost never look at the base metal prices. I check the base metal prices on pennies almost on a regular basis. I like to know where they stand, what's going on. And then once you're here, you can actually click on what type of pennies you got. Are they old copper pennies? Are they new zinc pennies? What is the deal? Taking a quick look at copper pennies. We're going to say $1 in copper pennies right now. That's $3.27. So 100 pennies has a melt value of $3.27. This was seen before. We've seen this back when they converted the dimes, the quarters, the pre-1964 and 1964 and earlier coins to clad. A lot of people did not understand the silver pennies were worth, or the silver dimes, silver quarters were worth more than the dime and the quarter that was written on them. And a lot of people can't see a copper penny being worth more. I actually have one. I have a jar in my bedroom where every night when I empty out my pockets, I will throw the copper pennies in that jar, and I'll sometimes throw the leftover zinc change on the bedstand, and then I'll just throw it in my pocket the next day or whenever a day comes where I kind of clean it up a little. However, we're seeing less and less copper pennies. And, you know, you look at the copper price. Copper price is climbing right now. It's at $4.94 a pound. Now, some people might ask, well, you have to understand, well, a pound of pennies is not 100 pennies. I don't know exactly how many pennies are in 1 pound. Someone might comment on that. Maybe someone's Googling it right now, and then they're going to put in the answer. And some people know it. I've got some friends that are hardcore penny stackers, and they understand what's going on. The penny, a copper penny, is going to be like a silver dime someday as the price continues to go up. Now, here's the thing. A silver dime wasn't always what it is today. A silver dime today, if you're lucky enough to find a silver dime, you're talking like $3.50. That's 35x. Well, right now, a copper penny is only 3x. And I know some people might say, well, where are you going to get 3 cents? Well, that's not really what you need to be asking yourself. What you need to be asking yourself is, once the penny is discontinued, that makes it fair game to be melted down. It's no longer an actual coin that we will be using in our everyday money system. When that happens, it makes sense to me that the copper price will start going higher and higher. When that happens, too, you'll have copper pennies if you've been saving them or separate them, and it's a little extra. Are you going to get rich turning a penny into 3 cents? No, but that's a 300% profit. If you're just casually going through your day, you know, you're putting your change in your pocket, you get home, you pull out the copper pennies, you throw them in a jar, it will have an impact down the road. And a lot of people, they want to be millionaires, or they want to be rich, but they don't want to take baby steps. They think it's going to happen overnight. And I'm ashamed to say this. I'll be honest. I've been wanting to get in really good shape for years now, and I don't want to wait. I don't want to make small changes. I got a buddy of mine. He is a fitness trainer, and he's always telling me that same thing. He goes, you want it now. You think you can buy something that's going to make you instantly ripped and fit. And I was actually just talking to him yesterday about that, because I was like, hey, I was watching this guy in like Africa, and he's like just using like a couple of concrete bags in his backyard and poured it in containers, made some weights, and he said all he's taking is creatine. He goes, he's probably taking more than creatine. And I said, nope, that's what he said. And I said, he lives in a third world country. They don't have a lot of money. They're poor. He goes, were you watching the video in 4K? And actually I was. So people want results now. Doesn't matter what it is. It really doesn't. Either they want to find love overnight, or they want to find wealth overnight, or they want to find fitness overnight. All this stuff takes time. Subtle changes. I was listening to something the other day. 5 years ago, you wanted something in your life, and you pictured yourself a perfect life 5 years ago. Today, part of that life exists. You made certain changes, they stuck, and you've changed your life around. But a lot of people don't want to make those subtle changes. They don't want to do what it takes. Either they're in debt out the wazoo, and they don't want to make changes, and so they're never, ever going to get out of debt. Everything is small baby steps. You didn't learn how to run a marathon in a day. You didn't learn how to walk in one day. It takes time. Everything takes time. And I think the pennies is a big opportunity for people. That's why, here's the thing. I don't have the time always to separate huge amounts of pennies. Do I still buy them? I still buy boxes of pennies anytime I get a chance. A box of pennies is $25. A lot of banks have already slowed down the ability to get those pennies. Some banks still have them. I was at one bank yesterday, and they told me you can buy whatever you want for pennies. We've got a lot of them right now. And I was like, oh, heck yeah. I said, how many can I get? I ended up taking a couple boxes just to put them up. Will I have time to go through them? No, but I'll go through them later. At some point, I'll separate them. And you can tell a copper and zinc penny fairly quick, or at least the majority of them. So it's easy to do, it's easy to separate, and well worth it. Jumping back into the comments, although I pretty much just covered a whole penny video in that little while. So, but I will do a video for you on pennies. I think it's important that people start really focusing a little bit of time or a little bit of attention on pennies, because soon you'll be able to turn those pennies into silver. Now, what do I mean by that? You cash in your pennies and you buy some silver. Both metals will be higher in price. I actually talked about this back when we were discussing W quarters. You could find a W quarter in your everyday change and turn it in for an ounce of silver at the time. Silver was $25. W quarters were only $25. And a lot of people second guess them. Now, if you've got a bunch of W quarters that are in decent shape, you can trade those in still. So who knows? We'll see how it plays out. A lot of people don't realize how little a million is. Okay, keep on stacking. Thank you so much. Definitely keep on stacking. Let's see here. Let's continue on. Good morning. I think prices will go sideways the rest of the year between 47 and 52. We've been shown where it's headed. Supply deficits, over leveraged on paper, can't last forever. Like you say, stackers already got their seat. Maybe we see opportunity to have extra cushion on that seat for the journey up. Silver of all grades will be getting hovered up by refineries everywhere eventually to be refined and held in pure silver, no paper. And that's absolutely right. Right now, we talk about that a lot right now because refineries being picky about what they buy. These refineries aren't not processing silver. They are slowing down on picking up a lot of that 925 silver, that 90% silver. But that's only because they have tons of it right now. When it got up over $50, they bought tons and tons. It takes them time to refine it. But be rest assured, they are refining it. And when they run out, of stuff to refine, they're going to be right back buying it. And a lot of people will have missed the opportunity to pick this stuff up super cheap. That's why ultimately right now I prefer 90% and 925 only because I can get a really good deal on it. I'd prefer it. If I've got extra money and they don't have that, then obviously I will pick up a little bit of 999 silver. Ultimately, all silver is going to go up in price, I believe. And so, yeah, it's going to, and I think you're right. It probably will hover under the $55 mark. I think 52 might be a little low. I can't see it going much under 47 at this point. I had a chance the other day. I was kind of discouraged. I had a chance to pick up 30 ounces of 999 silver at $47 a piece and an ounce, and I didn't pick it up. I wished I had. It was an opportunity, but there was too many pieces in the collection that I just didn't like. One of them was a 10-ounce skull. I didn't want to bring that into my house, but then after I got thinking about it, I was like, overnight, I was like, man, just get it and torch it. And what do I mean by, for those of you that don't know what I mean by torch it, you just get a bucket of ice water and hold the torch to it and let it keep dripping and melting into the ice water, and then you're going to be with 999 silver shot, essentially. I wouldn't recommend if you're I won't say I'll say a starter stacker. If you're starting out stacking, I would not recommend doing something like that. If you don't really know what you're doing, you can mess it up. I guess it's tough to say mess it up because you can't really mess it up. The metal is still there. But some people will get discouraged because that may be something someone may pay you a lower premium on. However, some people will look at that as a great item because they can get it at closer to spot. $47, it's already up to $48.50. I really kicked myself in the butt for not buying it, but it is what it is. And maybe we'll see it dip a little bit back down to 47, but I don't know. I think next month we're going to head even higher from where we're at now. We're at $48.50 right now. So, okay, next comment. I bought a 1/4 ounce gold Britannia and 12 ounces of silver, a 10-ounce Engelhard bar, around 1 ounce vintage bar with the rising imagine image of Lincoln on yesterday's for $1,600. So I believe it will go up as well. Hold on here. 1 ounce vintage bar with a raised image of Lincoln yesterday. Okay, I was trying to understand what that meant. I was like, what is he talking? Okay, so a vintage bar. Some people spend a lot of money on vintage. I'm cautious because I've seen vintage ounces sell for $80, $90. And some of y'all that I know that collects vintage stuff or antique silver, they have paid even more for that stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. I try to get my metal as close to spot as possible, with some exceptions. Some people have asked me, well, what do you think about war nickels? What do you think about 40%ers? There was a time when I liked them. I had one event that left a sour taste in my mouth a little bit for them, 2 items. However, it actually left a sour taste in my mouth for all constitutional silver. However, I've since started getting back into the dimes and quarters because I do like it. It was a mistake that I had made. I had it in paper rolls. I had accidentally cashed in a bunch of that stuff. And I felt stupid when I realized what had happened, but it was too late. And my son still tells me to this day, he's like, you can't keep haunting yourself about that. What's done is done. But it still stings. Also has rainbow toning on a third of it. Yeah, the rainbow toning, that stuff is huge. I'm actually thinking about selling off a lot of my Silver Eagles with rainbow toning to try to trade them out to get a little extra silver. And hopefully the person that I trade them to will probably put them on eBay, get a higher premium, and then go from there and see how that plays out. If I can get more in silver, ultimately, I don't really care what kind of silver it is. I only care that it's silver. It's about ounces, in my opinion. How many ounces can I gain? Good morning. I just bought rolls of dimes, $140, but also got a 1/10 ounce gold coin. So I love 1/10 ounce gold coins. That's probably my favorite gold coin to actually pick up. So you did really good probably getting that. You didn't say a price on. I'd be curious what your price was on that. And then a roll of dimes for 140. That is really good because that's going to be $10 at 280 roughly. And $10 right now on melt value is 350. So let's take a look here. Yeah, 350 I believe for $10. So 150, so about 170. So you saved about $30. Let's see here. Let's back this out real quick. You saved about $30 on that roll is what I'm guessing. Silver coin melt. Let's just take a look. This is why I love that coinflation. You're getting to see what I'm doing here too. If I can get the site to refresh. Oh, right now I'm going to have trouble with the site. I don't know what's going on. I may have to come back on that one. Let's see. Moving on to the next comment. We'll come back. I'm going to come back to that on that roll of dimes because I'm curious what a roll of dimes is at right now. You can't buy a roll of dimes though at 140 unless you are getting it under spot at a really good deal. Wouldn't it just make sense for refineries to focus on what is quicker, melt, instead of what takes longer regarding to being efficient and avoiding further backlogs? From business standpoint, it seems it's better to process what's easier to deal with, as opposed to what takes longer. Okay, so here's the thing on that's happening. They've already bought in so much of that 925 and 90% because they didn't realize what was happening when they were buying it. And now they're sitting on it, and they are trying to refine it still. They've got to keep the refineries working. There's a lot of people, a lot of equipment. They're going to keep it working. Even though the 10 ounces and the kilo bars, those are easier to refine because they're already refined. They're already 90%, 999. I'm sorry, they're already 999 fine, as opposed to 90% where they've got to take out those base metals. Eventually, they're going to run out of the 999 stuff, the pure silver stuff. Once they run out of it, if the price doesn't climb because of the manipulation, then they're going to have to be back just refining whatever they can get their hands on. When they start buying that stuff up again, then it's instant. You instantly make your money. I talked to somebody that he actually got that silverware set from me. Some of y'all remember I picked up that silverware set. I actually traded that for some ounces of pure silver only because I wanted it a little easier. I was cleaning up my stack. When prices go up, I kind of like to set back and just kind of clean stuff up a little bit. What do I not want in my collection anymore? What do I want to focus on? A lot of times I'm focusing on what's cheapest. I want the most ounces for my money, point blank. And eventually when silver goes crazy high, it doesn't matter what you have, people are going to want it. Taking a look at the next comment, that is so distracting. I don't know if you can hear that clicking. It's the fan motor that's doing that on the computer. Let's see. Refiners produce less to maintain the higher prices. Who knows? Okay, so I've heard this theory. I've heard that theory multiple times that refiners produce less. The refineries have to keep their people employed. So maybe they might produce less, but they're not passing up this opportunity. They're buying precious metals right now at 95% a spot. In some cases, 90% a spot, but we'll say 95. And they're hurrying up and they're pushing it out at spot. The quicker they can push that stuff out, the more money they make. If you can rotate, make 5% on your money every day by keeping people working, I would make as much as I could. It's just, I would actually try to push people. I would have probably a night shift, a day shift. I'd want to pump it out, especially because a lot of people right now are selling. There are a lot of people selling at these high prices, even though I don't really think that this is a high price. But for the average sheep mentality of the average person out there, it is high. So moving on, simple way to put it is silver will fluctuate and trend higher as time passes. And that's actually a simple, great way to put it. I mean, gradually you're seeing these steps up and then a step down and then 2 steps up and a step down and then step up, step down, and then 2 steps up and a step down. And every time you have that little bump higher, I mean, the price just tends to keep slowly working up higher. And I don't think this is going to end anytime soon. I think we're going to continue to see that happen as we have for a long time. And people that think, oh, silver could never get to $100. I mean, there was a time when silver was $4 and they never thought it would get to 50. And it did. And it makes sense it's going to continue. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Scrolling down to the next one. Loaning gold and silver is like a gangbanger saying, let me hold that 100 till next week. I was trying to read that. I was like, I got to be careful what I say on some comments. Loaning silver is like, I'm going to say, a robber saying, let me hold that 100 for you. And that's true. I wouldn't want to loan out my gold and silver. I've been asked that, what I think about these new gold and silver back loans where you can use the gold and silver, I guess you can say, as collateral. Personally, I wouldn't give up my gold and silver. Would I borrow against it if it was a fair loan? Like if gold is sitting at $4,000 and they're going to loan me $4,000 in fiat cash for it, and I would want it set up where every time I pay $4,000 of that loan back, I get one of my ounces back. Some people will say they'll never do that, and maybe they never would, but a time will come where somebody will do it because they're going to want gold and silver. And even if you're willing to pledge gold and silver, you're willing to let them hold it, they're going to give you the cash for it, but you can get your gold and silver back once you pay the loan back plus a small amount of interest. It'll work out for them. It's kind of like a pawn. Why do pawn shops loan out money? I know some people will say they have crazy interest rates, and they do, but at the end of the day, it does work. Let's see. Number 1. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thumbs down for previously asking us stuff instead of telling us stuff. Okay. You know what? Here's the thing. I have to ask questions to you guys so I can get a feel for what you guys are thinking. All these stackers out there that are getting bogged down by the naysayers. There's a lot more naysayers out there than there are stackers. So when I ask you guys a question, it serves 2 purposes. One purpose, so I can see what y'all are thinking. I like to hear that. And in a comment, for someone to take a quick couple seconds to give their thoughts, I mean, people like to hear it. Your opinion matters. It matters to me, and it matters to other stackers. I understand some people don't want to write a comment and tell people what they think. They'd rather just hear. The problem is when you're just listening to one person, where does that end? Does that end well? If you only listen to one person and you get all your information from them, generally it's not a guarantee that it's going to work in your favor. So people have the opportunity to read these comments and see what other people think and make their own conclusion, their own consensus. There was a time when people traded ideas. Today it's like a bunch of sheep standing in line. I watched a study the other day where people got in an elevator and they all turned sideways and they looked at the right wall to the right hand side of them. And then someone new get in the elevator and he just kind of like, what the heck? Why is everybody looking that way? Within like a couple seconds, he shifted and faced the wall. He wasn't even part of the experiment. He was just a bystander that came in, and all of a sudden he just got in line and faced the same way everybody else was facing. What was the purpose of that? They did this experiment over and over again where they planted like 3 or 4 people and they all faced sideways. And then when those plants got out slowly and new people got in the elevator, what do you think happened? More people facing the sideways. And then eventually all the people that were in the study were off the elevator. And everybody that's getting on is still, they groomed people to do this. And it was kind of funny to see how people just naturally fell in line. You can't just listen to one person. You have to listen to other people. Now, would I love to tell you, no, you only need to listen to me, only my opinion. I mean, but you don't want to do that. I mean, that's why I tell people there's a lot of great things on YouTube, a lot of great channels that talk about this. And there are channels that are absolutely horrible. I'm not going to lie, that are sitting there trying to pump you into, I don't know, other stuff. I don't want to start slamming anybody. Are they pushing you into paper mining stocks? Are they pushing you into paper silver? Are they pushing you into bad investments? You know, each person has to make their own decision on that, because nobody cares more about your financial well-being than you. You care the most about your future, I would assume. So we'll see how that plays out. We're going to continue on. Good afternoon, everybody. Here from the UK. Get it while you can, as long as you can afford it and don't have to start living on those ramen noodle things that T-Light keeps talking about. Yeah, I don't know if they have ramen noodles over in the UK. Here's the thing. The food here in the US is a lot different than in the UK and in most countries. They have them in China, but I don't think they're the same ones as what we have here, but I don't know. Before anything, health and happiness should come first, and then everything else is a bonus. The English pound is getting less and less value every time I go shopping. Everything goes up in price. The pound goes down. Don't worry about metals going up or down in price. Worry about community you have around you and all the crap governments are doing to divide us against each other. And please look after both your health and building a good community around you. One love to all reading this from the UK. So thank you so much, Neil. Neil, always in a good mood, Neil. I appreciate that. Always saying hi to everybody. So thank you so much, Neil. So I already talked about the ramen noodles. And yeah, you're right. Everything, the key thing to take away from this comment that you have to understand is it's not the price of everything going up. Like you said, it's the price of the currency going down. Now, in this case, he said the pound. However, it's not just the pound. It's every paper currency. And that's why people think the dollar's doing so good, because they're comparing it up against other currencies. Take a quick sip here. Okay. 1259. Rally on stack souvenir sovereigns, stack sovereigns, and 90%. Reason being, even if silver goes to zero, it's still considered legal tender. Okay, so yeah, stacking sovereigns, stacking 90%, it's a good thing. It is legal tender. If I ever had to spend my silver quarters, I could. In fact, I even have on accident, but that's something I will haunt myself about forever. I hope I made someone really happy when they found them. But yeah, it is legal tender. I wouldn't want to use it, but definitely it is. Scrolling down, I think the billionaires have repositioned themselves to pull the rug out from under the middle class. Yeah, at first I looked at that. I thought it said billionaires, like the stackers. No, the billionaires, yes. Yeah, they're repositioning themselves right now. That's why I think you're seeing Bitcoin starting to come down. You're seeing the everyday people buying the dip. And I think that's a sign of them getting out. And essentially now someone might make that same argument with silver. Oh, yeah, the billionaires got out of silver and now we're buying that dip. Not the same thing. Silver has been real wealth from the beginning of time. Doesn't matter what happens, we're always going to need it. And it's only going to get crazier as the currency. And what is What's the, I don't want to say the best outcome. Here's an outcome that a lot of people don't think about. Let's say they just start mass producing money and everything. How do I say this properly? Let's say they reset the money, and all these billionaires are all, and everyday people are all plunged to basically small numbers. And then what's going to happen with your gold and silver? Your gold and silver is still going to be high in price in terms of the currency just dropping out from under it. And what do I mean by that? If you look in Mexico, I got to explain this properly here. In Mexico, when they had the Nuevo Peso and they had the old peso was just getting overprinted. They just kept printing and printing and printing and printing these pesos. And as they did that, they lost value. Inflation started. It got worse and worse. And one day they came out and they said, we're changing to the Nuevo Peso, a new peso. If you want to get the new pesos, you have to turn in 1,000 of your old pesos to get one of the new pesos. What happened to everyday stuff? What happened to your taco maybe that you bought for 2 pesos? It was still 2 pesos, but it was 2 of the new pesos, which is technically 2,000 of the old pesos. What happened to gold and silver? Well, gold was priced at the time like $400, and the next day it was still $400, and then convert that to whatever pesos were. I don't know if they were even or what, but $400, and then the next day it's still $400, even though now you had to buy it in the new dollars or the new pesos. I sometimes will say dollars versus pesos just so people understand this is not exempt to other currencies. This can happen in our currency too, but people just think that the US dollar is above the laws of economics. It's not above it. It can happen there, it can happen here. I want to pull the trigger on 40%, but I'm having a hard time doing it. Gut says get it now. My heart tells me to get fractional gold. I'm becoming paralyzed by the indecision and feel that I'll miss out either way. Yeah, you don't want to let the emotions push you. My opinion, let's see what 2 other people. So 2 other people have made a comment here on this. You better get it now, brother. I think 40%ers are $7 or $8 a piece, and they are. Folks who put back constitutional will win in the end. Get all the 90%, 40% you can get your hands on. Someone else saying I feel the same. So yeah, here's the down thing about it. It takes a lot of space. It takes a lot of space. I mean, picture your stack in size and then multiply that by 2.5 in size, and that's essentially what you're holding, because 40% is not 999. So I mean, if you go from 40% to 999, you're drastically cutting the space that it takes up. Now if you've got a huge stack, I mean, I know some guys that have 2,000-3,000 ounces, and that takes up a lot of space. It really does. If you've ever seen a monster box in your hands, it takes space. It takes weight. However, I will also say the upside to that is right now you're getting that stuff at 50% of spot. So $3.50 to $4 for a 40%er. I actually picked up one the other day for $1 just to, the guy didn't have the dollar change. He said, you know what, here you go. I'll just give you that. Your lucky day. I was like, heck yeah, my lucky day. I'll take a 40%er for $1. I couldn't buy him when silver was cheap for $1. So yeah. Okay, so we're getting there. We're almost there. Okay. The dollar decline. Those that understand now measure against the almighty dollar created by the Federal Reserve Corps, being, if you are not in a hole in the ground, stable coins, your best learn quick. What the heck? I can't say the actual word you used, what the heck, is actually doing down with moving from analog to electronic to now digital. Suck it up. Yeah, I know you're pro crypto. I don't know. A lot of the crypto people, they follow a lot of the stacking mentality. A lot of people don't know this, but if you were a stacker 15 years ago, the stacking community got divided when cryptocurrencies rolled out and really started gaining traction. A lot of people that were believing that the dollar was declining in value, and it was, started investing in cryptocurrencies. I'm just still against it. I'd rather hold physical. And I understand where you're coming from when you say, suck it up, just get into it. I just don't see it. I've been meaning to buy a little bit of Bitcoin and just kind of put it aside. But it was a small amount that someone had tipped me. And so I was like, I need to. But then I watched the price jump around. I'm actually waiting for it to drop down probably to 105 again. And then I'm going to end up putting that $50 in that someone said, at least get a little bit. And I will. So taking a continued on look, it is good to see some coin shops are no longer buying constitutional silver, because those shops are the ones that send it off to the smelters. I heard the story about a small smelter that simply resold some good 90% silver instead of melting it. Yeah, so I tried to pick up the 90%. So here's the thing you got to understand too. Why are they not buying it? Well, everyday people like us have slowed down on buying that stuff. But we've slowed down on buying it at them crazy prices. We're still buying if we can get it for under spot. And here's the thing. Some people need the money. If they need the money and they need to sell it, I'm all for people buying it if you're going to get a good enough deal on it. Let's see. The refiners are backlogged. The dealers are sitting on tons of 90% waiting to send it off. The loss of 90% is going to be tremendous. At my age, I may not live to see the outcome down the road, but when I do sell, I hope to sell to stackers who will hold on to it. A lot of the 90% is getting melted down. It's getting depleted. There's less and less of it. You don't see it as often. You're never probably going to find it in circulation anymore. But that just goes to show what's actually going on. I mean, so who knows? We'll see how it plays out. Okay, next comment. I think silver hoards are doing an awful lot of wishing and hoping. I suspect it will follow gold up for a while, but not narrow to the 80-to-1 ratio. We were already under. We were at 79-to-1 ratio, very much, if at all. Gold might reach 4,900 and then drop to 4,800 and hold for a while. So I agree with some of what you said. I think gold's 5,000, 4,900. I mean, that's pretty close to 5,000. I think that's an inevitable. But I also don't think that silver is going to be able to sit at $50 when gold hits that. I think it's more likely that gold goes to 5,000 and silver goes to 65 maybe. Let me just pull up a calculator real quick. Calculator. Boom. Let's just say $5,000 silver divided by $65. $5,000 gold, $65 silver. That puts us at 76. I think that is easy call right there. $65 silver, $5,000 gold, and a 76-to-1 ratio. Well under 80. Is it as good? No. Let's reverse this and do the math one different way. $5,000 gold divided by $75 silver. 66. Now that's a big difference. A lot of people say we could even go higher. I would not be surprised to see $100 silver. What is $100 silver today if it doubles in price over the next remainder of this year and the next year or two? I was willing to make a bet with a buddy of mine, but he backed out. He didn't want to chance it, where I said, I'll bet you we see $80 silver by the end of next year. And I'm willing to bet my money on it. And he wouldn't. He backed out. So who knows? Let's see. Most people spent their money for costumes and candy for today. Of course, it's going to dip. We don't have to dress up because we look like the Monopoly guy. Exactly. You know what would be really cool? A silver Monopoly board. That would be awesome. I love Monopoly. But yeah, a lot of people did, and I understand. It's a fun day for kids. I even bought a couple bags of candy. I bought a bag of candy. It only had 30 pieces in it, but I almost never have anybody come out to my area. Why would you want to walk multiple houses when you could just go to trunk or treat, I guess they call them now, where everybody just all goes in one little spot? You can rack up a ton of candy quick. Just make it quick. So we'll see. It is fun to do. I think I ate more of that candy. As you can tell, I'm doing this video right now at 3 a.m. on Saturday morning. Why am I doing it so late tonight? I actually sat and gave out candy for a little bit. I didn't have many people. I think I had like 14 people. And I gave the candy. And as I was giving out the candy, I was also eating the candy. And I ended up eating too much because as soon as I came in, I just started feeling drowsy and I laid down. And I am diabetic, so I'm not supposed to be eating candy at all. And then I ate some at the two businesses that were at my friends that I was eating it there too. So yeah, you got to watch it. Let's see here. In most cases, the future, not even one person is going to get the silver when everyone is rumbling for it. This is where might makes right. Always wins after lots of blood is spilled. So yeah, that's definitely something to consider. So that's based off of our comment yesterday when we looked at the gold silver rate, paper to silver ratio being like 350 to 1. It's like 350 people going for one chair in the game of musical chairs. It's slim, you're going to get it. And that's absolutely right there, that a lot of people just aren't going to get it. Even that one person might not even get it because the elites are going to have first dibs on most of the physical silver. If they wanted to go online, if they knew something was going to happen tomorrow, I would go online right now and I would buy as much silver as I could off eBay. And then I would hit up within a day or two, I would hit up all of the refineries. I would hit up all the bullion dealers. And then I would buy out the COMEX instantly. Because as soon as the COMEX gets bought out, once they can't deliver, that's the end of the line. People will know what's going on. And then by then, it's too late. The supply's dried up. Us going to $50 silver served a purpose. To convince weak hands to sell. And then we hover around 50. Maybe even for the rest of the year. I think it will probably inch back up to 55. By the end of the year, I would expect that we will be a little bit higher. Then we'll have more new all-time highs by the end of the year. And a lot of that's going to be once they catch up. They're consolidating right now. It's a normal part of the game. Consolidate, let the weak hands sell, and then play around this neighborhood right here in the 50 range for a little bit. And then that's it. Once they want, then they can buy up a bunch of stuff. And so many people, I know so many people that sold at 39, then we ran to 50. If they have anything, they're selling at 50 now. And the price just inching higher and higher. Let's see, in most cases okay, so we read that one. Don't devalue for the lowest common denominator. Keep the thumbnail. Don't devalue for the lowest common denominator. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. keep the thumbnail. Yeah, I just don't know which thumbnail people prefer. What gets seen more? Personally, I like the busy thumbnails. I like looking at the pictures. I mean, it's exactly right, the visual, but some people have said, yeah, but you can't even see the picture on the old style thumbnail. There's too much writing over it. It's like you were writing a book to try to catch someone's attention. And maybe I was. I mean, I'm trying to put a lot of info so they can see the thumbnail, see what I'm going to talk about in the video. Sometimes people just seeing some junk silver jewelry, they don't know what the person is going to talk about. Maybe it's a fashion show. Who knows? The LBMA borrowed a bunch of silver from China, so it did not collapse and has to return it by 12/31. China does not want the LBMA to collapse because they're siphoning silver from it. This is the true reason refineries do not want 90% right now. The truth came out. I actually heard that on another YouTube video that, yeah, and it makes sense. China does not want to kill the cow. They want to keep milking it for as long as they can. The LBMA picks silver up from around the world, funnels it into them, and they will try to stay open as long as they can. And I think China is like, you know what? If they're about ready to collapse, let's make it so where they don't collapse. We'll give them the silver. We'll loan them some silver. Then the price will come down drastically, and we'll take advantage of the down prices, and we'll buy it back up. They still owe us the silver. I mean, that's the perfect plan when you really think about it. And it makes sense it's going to play out that way. They've got the IOU. They're going to get their silver. But in the meantime, they got to push the price down by loaning them all that silver. So it makes sense. Massive strike is coming to our economy. There's a reason melters are only melting fine. I don't know what it is, but it isn't backlog. We're going to see a huge hit from somewhere. Next comment or reply to that comment. If I understand your comment correctly, I totally agree. And before whatever happens, the powers that be want the wealth in their hands. And as bad as they want it, it seems like that event could be in the near future. I'm going to read the next reply and then I will comment. It seems like we're running to whatever is going to happen. Lots of wealth being funneled up faster than the past 25 years. So I would agree with that. I think we are staving off a huge Great Depression. I actually was talking to a friend of mine about this about a week ago, and I said it would be crazy if we go into a Great Depression in 1929. I'm sorry, in 2029. A 100-year anniversary, and then boom, another depression hits. We haven't had anything devastating happen to us for a while. There's more millionaires in fiat currency out there than ever before, and I think the high-ups that know what's going on are funneling the real wealth, which is gold and silver. They're buying it up, and then when something major happens, like a big reset, that's it. That's it. Opportunity's gone. Your cash will be worthless. Your savings account will be worthless, and you will go back to work the next day for new currency. And the new currency will be stronger than the previous currency, but not as strong as gold and silver. And so a lot of people will miss out on that, and that's why they're getting it. Now, as for the refineries not buying 90%, I can't really see many scenarios except for backlog on why. I would be curious if anybody has comments on that, why the refineries would turn down a 5% profit. Because they're paying more money. You look at what they're buying. They're paying more money right now on 100-ounce bars than they're paying on 1 ounce. I think, one, there's a backlog. Two, they're trying to get as much silver as they can, as quick as they can. But if they've got endless amounts of paper money, why not just buy the 90%? It ain't going nowhere. Excuse me. it ain't going nowhere. For them, they can just throw it in the back of their building and refine it out later. And I think that will happen when they turn on. Think about this: when they turn back on the ability to sell refiners 925 and sterling, how much do you think is going to come in the first week? I think it could flood in. Everybody's going to be sending it. That could be another potential reason. The flood of the 925, the sterling coming in, and they'll know first what's happening. And all that silver flooding in, they've got to be working the refineries nonstop right now. So we'll see. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And I am going to wrap it up here. I actually got chicken on the barbecue pit right now. I put it on before the video started, so hopefully I haven't been more than too long. Yeah, 1 hour. That's about what I usually have it on. Low heat for about an hour. So pretty good there. That's some good timing. 1 hour video. We answered all the comments. Maybe tomorrow, if I'm bored, I may hop on and do a Sunday video. I don't always do Sunday videos. I'm not a big fan of them, but if I do, I'll probably go through and answer all the comments on the the Thursday video, which was actually this one right here, best silver to invest in. Some people I know, they don't like 90%. They think they don't like 99.25. Jewelry can be stamped. It can be fake and stamped. Unless you're acid testing it. You wouldn't want to acid test a Carson City Morgan dollar, but a ring or something, you put a little nick in it. It was funny. I actually had a comment in that video. How did the Vikings know that they were stealing actual silver versus constitutional? I'm sorry. How did the Vikings know they were stealing actual silver versus watered down silver, or what was the other? Costume silver jewelry. I actually had to hunt down the answer to that, how they knew that. I'm like, I wonder how they knew. How did they not know? How did they know the difference between costume? They had a lot of different things. They said they ping tested it, not with a ping tester, but they just could tell by the ring that it made. Plus, they would chop it up into pieces and see if it was pure all the way through. It was no big deal because they wanted the silver, and they would melt it down into other items too. That's why when you look at these old treasures, pirate treasures, Viking treasures, Roman Empire treasures that get found, it's not in paper. It's in gold and silver. It's test of time. So we'll see how it plays out. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed answering everybody's comments, and I will see you guys again on T-Square Talk. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, a great rest of your weekend, and I may be on tomorrow. Possibly may even be on live tonight, actually. So we'll see how that plays out. With that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys again on T-Square Talk. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.